Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you for maybe your first time. This is your virginal run. Or maybe you're a regular. But I do want to welcome you to the most influential urban conservative talk show in the world. Yes, the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican, and then to the Socialist, better known as the Democrat. I'm yours truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. Glad to have you here. You're right on time. Dave Milner is in the chat roll with me. The lovely, the beautiful Mary Brockman is my bouncer. Love you, Mary. And if you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed from the chat room. And also my beautiful betrothed bride, who is the executive director of my program and the one who makes certain that I dress well. Because otherwise you would see me in basically a torn t-shirt and torn jeans. Mrs. Big. So God bless her. She's tuning in and watching us via live stream and Ustream to my left and to my right. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight and listening to a very healthy broadcast. Now, I just want you to know how influential this show really is. Okay? Let me explain something to you. In politics, people will explain to you who they don't want to run against by telling you who they hate the most. Like, if I gave you an examination today of who the people on the left truly hate. I mean, just despise. Just don't want to even be on the same planet with the person. They will tell you in literally no uncertain terms, it's not Donald Trump. It's not Dr. Ben Carson. And it's not even Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio. Senator from Florida. It's none of those. The person they despise most is Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz. When you say Senator Ted Cruz, it's like throwing water on a witch. They despise him. Now, this particular program has garnered a great deal of notoriety. First amongst Republicans, because I'm not afraid to dispel those who are big ticket government folk from large liberty, small government, conservatives, or quote unquote liberals, as the underground professor Dr. Michael Jones would say. But now, this particular program is beginning to get individuals from the Black Lives Matters movement that wants to begin making statements to me via Facebook and other. Listen. I would be with you, Ken, on your fight if you would just join us on ours. And that's going to be a problem, my friends. But it's influential because they're responding to me and I never reached out to them. Somebody asked me, how do you get the Black Lives Matter people to be involved with the Open Heart Closed Case campaign? Do what you do, and they will either submit or fight against you. But we have stubbornly and atrociously been offensive. Hey, Holger, the most famous Saturday night guy in America. More famous than Saturday Night Live. You definitely need to tune in whenever he has a program or show. He's in our chat roll tonight. God bless you, Holger. We have been so adamant about the Second Amendment, about the Constitution, about capitalism, about conservatism, about Christianity, that people in Washington, D.C. are beginning to say, whoa, this guy is beginning to make sense. It's not about what I feel or what I like or what I prefer. It's about principle. And what I feel and what I like and what I prefer maybe doesn't actually fit the Constitution. Although I would like it to. And so there are people who put their hand on the Bible, lift their hands up, and swear that they will endure their personal demise ideologically in order to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, and yet they lie every single time because they're trying to denounce it and destroy it with every given breath that they have. And I just want you all to know that this conservative was able to just publicly out how foolish and how reckless it is for people in Washington, D.C. to be strangely affixed to the concept of denying themselves a constitutional right while pursuing the constitutional right of representation in Congress. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about so much more. Last night, it was great to have Stanley Levy from Black Man Thinking out there in California, IA, join us in the fourth quarter of our program. What's that? Yeah, I need a haircut. What? Okay, honey, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to get a haircut, I swear I will. And Stanley, great to have you on. We were talking about the Second Amendment. I'm going to finish up the Second Amendment tonight. But tonight's show, and this is where a lot of people are going to be upset, but what the early Pilgrims and Mizzou protesters have in common, and then at 10 p.m., my very good friend, JANIS Hall, the J Hall World Report, joins us to bring the world to the kitchen table. We're talking about the onset of World War III, baby. The onset of World War III. I don't know if you're going to be able to lead from behind on World War III. How do we begin a program? Well, we begin this particular program, the Exceptional Conservative Show, that comes to you live from the nation's capital every Monday through Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Some people call me, in fact I do, the King of 9 p.m. I'm going to present to you how we start this program. Put your right hand over your chest. Look at the American flag, or even pretend that you have an American flag in front of you, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America.
Ready, begin.
Want to thank you all. That was the Tommy Bonbon. His K3 Kids recites the Pledge of Allegiance. What a wonderful thing to have your young people in a classroom learning what it really means to be an American. The first thing, if you can't pledge allegiance to the United States of America, boy, we're going to have some other issues later on. Ladies and gentlemen, we got off to a roarious start last night. And many people were quite ornery in Washington, D.C. because I don't mind calling you out of the classroom. But Black Lives Matters and I share a common foe. That foe happens to believe that because of their personal preference, that they have a right to govern unconstitutionally. And the unfortunate thing is that it's mandated by a city council that's governing unconstitutionally in the District of Columbia, and encouraged by people who are liberals, not liberals, as the underground professor is. And we'll discuss that tomorrow when we're talking about the Bill of Rights Thanksgiving. But let me just get this story out to you very cleanly, and you can take it for the grain of salt that it's worth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can take it for and you all know that I've been very hardcore. I didn't pull any punches last night. Went strong. This is what Muriel Bowser, the mayor of the District of Columbia, said today regarding the fact that her quote-unquote police chief went off the reservation for a moment and actually recited what police officers believe. And in fact, I can back it up later on this night with an article that she wrote in Police Chief magazine back in 2012. So, D.C. Mayor, the District Mayor, Muriel Bowser, said that she does not favor changing Washington's strict gun control laws to let people defend themselves from an active shooter because I don't like guns. She doesn't like guns. Oh my goodness, she doesn't like guns. As a result of her not liking guns, I can't protect myself.
The chief was on another network this week saying that in an emergency situation, people should either try to escape, try to hide, or if necessary, fight back. Fewer police officials and leaders in the country have been saying the third one, fight back. We had the incident in the train in New York and all of that. But do you agree with what the chief said about what you should do if you find yourself in a situation that you should escape, hide, or fight back?
Well, certainly the police chief was describing an event that I think is 1 in 100 million of a chance of happening, and that's an active shooter situation. We've had the experience of a couple of active shooter situations in recent memory, and I think she describes a different type of attack than what we have prepared for in terms of terrorist attacks in the past. And so
Whoa! There's a separate and different type of preparation for terrorist attacks? What? The terrorist attacks that happen at the Navy Yard are different from the terrorist attacks that could possibly happen, at your kid's school? Downtown on the mall? On the subway? You mean, little, clock boy can get on the train with that little thing and I can't protect myself? Is that what you're saying, Mayor Muriel Bowser? That there are different types of terrorist attacks?
What all police departments will do is remind and re-educate people of how to respond to any disaster. And
Whoa! Who gives people the power to respond? Is it the government that gives people the power to respond to a terrorist activity?
People of how to respond to any disaster. And the reaction may be different in the case where we saw where we've seen other different attacks, but she's very specifically talking.
Now, I want you all to prepare yourselves here, because she's speaking to some business people in Washington, D.C. You know, the hoopla, we got millions of dollars, and we can sit here all day long with the mayor, and we can deliver checks to her through her super PAC, yeah, and we can get government contracts right out the yang right here. She could probably write one up for us right now, yeah, okay, all right, we're standing here, and we're all going to applaud that your Second Amendment rights have been taken from you by the district government. Oh, how wondrous. Oh, this is beautiful. Don't you just love the fact that you can't be a citizen of the United States of America, but we will fight to make certain that you're a represented non-citizen of the United States.
Steve Burns with WMAL. Just sort of piggybacking on what Tom said, D.C. is known for its very restrictive gun laws, and it sort of flies in the face with what the chief was saying. So do you think this sort of provides some sort of suggestion on revising D.C.'s gun laws at this point so people can have that opportunity? Are you satisfied with the gun laws as they are now?
No, I'm not.
What would you like to see changed?
I don't like guns. And I don't think saying that more guns.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the scariest sound that you will hear, probably sometime this year. It wasn't the terrorist attack in Mali. It wasn't the terrorist attack in Paris. It's the terrorists that are sitting in that room right now attacking your Second Amendment right. Not a right that government can give, as mistakenly said by Mayor Muriel Bowser, but a right that you naturally have because God gave it to you. And it's the onus of government to stay a foot from it, to stay away completely from infringing on that right because it's a God-given right to protect yourself. But those businessmen and women clapped. They clapped. They clapped because she said, I don't like guns. And as Queen of Washington, D.C., because I don't like guns, you can't like guns either. In fact, not only can you not like guns, and I am covered with guns all around me because I have armed protection from my security team, but because I don't like guns, you can't have a gun. This is what she inferred, or you can infer from what she said. And the fact that she doesn't like guns, there are people in that room who have contracts through the government that she oversees who will clap with her that their Second Amendment rights have been taken from them because they're getting paid. But are you getting paid? No. I'm going to finish this. I want you all to hear the rest of what she has to say. It's only a few more seconds of what Muriel Bowser says about Police Chief Kathy Lanier. But the bottom line is, she's telling you that even in a terrorist situation, you do not have the right to protect yourself.
That's not my position. I get in trouble for it sometimes, so don't print it.
There we go. She gets in trouble for it sometimes. Sometimes I get in trouble for telling people that I don't like guns. And because I don't like guns, I have the power to make certain that you don't have one. Now, I don't know what institution is upholding her in this. Oh, yes, I do. It's maybe the Supreme Court. When we come back from this particular break, I want to talk with you tonight and complete our conversation from last night regarding the racial implications of gun control. Remember, Democrats believe in control over you and your life. They believe in controlling your population, so they go with abortion. They believe in controlling the right of you to defend yourself, so they go with gun control. And if they could, and they do have the powers and abilities, they believe that they have the control over your ability to think for yourself. It is why the anti-federalists fought real hard to make certain that we didn't have a central government so great that it would actually infringe upon the rights of the people and the rights of the state. We'll talk about that tomorrow night, the Bill of Rights Thanksgiving. But tonight, we're going to focus on not only the racial proclivity of gun control, but tonight we're going to talk about what do the Pilgrims and the Missouri protesters have in common. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. I'm the Exceptional One, Ken McClinton. Sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. In fact, get yourself a cup of tea right now because we're about to get going.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh. You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe.
That kind of looks like my sister.
It does.
But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
She's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop.
Oh, that is not a lollipop.
Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Look at you with your shirt off, flex it. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplex. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie! I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. If you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
Swipe. You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Every 53 minutes, someone dies in a drunk driving incident. The risk of a drunk driver being killed in a car crash is at least 11 times that of a sober driver.
Ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor this season. Please do not drink and do not drive. It is the best thing for all of us. It will help us all survive. You're listening tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. to you and me. I'm the Exceptional One, of course. And there is queries in the chat roll of how this harpy from Karl Marx Hell actually got elected to office. And this is what happens when the Politburo, and I do mean donkey, takes over in command of and becomes a one-party solution to everything in the District of Columbia. And this is what happens when and you have to understand, our founding fathers never wanted Washington, D.C. to really be much of a city. That the only people living within the city actually worked for the actual governments, and then everyone else would disperse out in the summertime and leave, maybe come back in the fall, to carry up some legislation or whatever, but everyone would leave Washington, D.C. It was never meant to be what it is today, and now it is a tit that sucks at the pig udders of the, actually the pigs that suck at the tits of the pig, called your tax dollars. And thanks to you all, you are growing not only the federal government, but you're also growing the district government. The district government has a $13 billion, I said billion, billion dollar budget, $13 billion budget. And she went around and she said, the great mayor that she is, who hates guns, and because she hates guns, as queen of the District of Columbia, you can't have one. Basically, she made it very abundantly clear that she will give out 2.3%, I would say 2.4%, something like that, of that money back to small black businesses in the community. Wow, chump change, baby. Oh, yeah, I feel a little something for you. Keep the change. Yeah. And there were people in Washington, D.C., especially, can I say black? Is that racial? Is it? Okay, I have to say all of them? And that way it's not racial. Okay. Black, Negro, colored, African American. Covered the whole spectrum. Preachers who were like, oh, wow, she's giving us money back. That's your money! There's no great gifting here. She stole. That's like walking up to your robber who takes the money out of your wallet and then hands you back the wallet, and you say, wow, he gave me back my wallet. Really? So, that's the kind of person that we have right now who's leading the city, but she's not alone. There are 13 others in the tribe that believe as she believes, and quite frankly, have no problem with taking advantage of the good people of Washington, D.C. And, well, I know a lot of people would be thinking to themselves, well, gee, Ken, how did this happen? Well, it happened very easily. When the government became federally exclusive, the city began to grow. When the city began to grow, your money came here and our money grew because more and more people began to work for the government. FDR, thank you. That's where you got the term good government job, security, benefits, forever. And then, quite frankly, people just resided here forever. And as a result of residing here, they began to build fast. After the World War II, the city's population was somewhere in the area of about almost 1 million people. It was like 850,000 people. Well, with FDR and all of the FDRites having moved here and all of the conservatives moving out because they were no longer welcomed here, didn't take long for there to be a liberal bastion that took advantage of the civil rights movement and making D.C. a home rule state, or home rule charter at least, not a state. And that's where we have today, from our discussion last night, the fact that there are those who sit on the dais of the D.C. City Council who are probably as brilliant as a 1 watt light bulb that's broken. One of those people happened to be Jack Evans from Ward 2. Jack Evans, council member. Jack Evans proposed that in order to fight back, instead of guns, we should use baseball bats. I like to unite, and I want to put that in there for you all following along home, because you around America who listen to me on a nightly basis and around the world, especially around the world, I know you all question and say this cannot be the nation's capital. This cannot be the place that I want to come to. It's impossible. No one could possibly believe this, but it actually is true. A baseball bat against a guy with an M16 or a howitzer. Yeah, doesn't matter. Get a howitzer. Blow it off. It doesn't matter what you have. If you have a baseball bat, unless you're sneaking up on the behind of this particular individual, there's not really much hope in your baseball bat versus a Glock. I don't know. Maybe Holger or Dave or Mary can tell me differently in the chat roll, but I don't know. If I had a choice of weapon on one of those game shows where you have to choose which weapon you're going to use, it would not be baseball bat first. I don't know. Maybe it's just, if it was the only thing in the case, yeah, baseball bat. But it ain't. I wouldn't choose it. I would need something that equalizes. And this is a problem with gun control, because not only is gun control sexist, because guns even the score for women who are smaller than men, need an evening. Well, of course they do. An evening out with a man. But they need something that makes the battle an equivalency. Your gun versus her gun makes it equal. But liberals don't want you to say that kind of stuff, because that's violence. No, it's protecting yourself. It's preserving who you are so that you might live another day. But it's also racist. I want to go real quick to the phony baloney Washington Post, or Compost as it's referred to, by a very great commentator, the great one himself, who and this poll that was taken on the 19th of November, just a week or so back, the 19th. They know, the Compost knows that people are a bit concerned. Anytime the State Department issues a worldwide travel alert, people are concerned, and so they're concerned not about traveling, they're concerned about being able to protect themselves wherever they travel. Well, they put together this phony baloney, and let me just tell you how this poll worked. Okay, so you can just know it right off the bat. I'm going to put it in the chat roll. You all know my commitment to making certain that stuff is in the chat roll so that when I say something, people won't say, hey, you know, I'd rather have a hockey stick than a baseball bat. Thank you, Holger. I'm feeling you, man. I'm feeling you. If you're going to reach in the case. Jack Evans is cousins with Hank Johnson from Georgia. We're about to fall in. One more fat person end up in Guam, we'll fall in. I tell you. But of this particular poll that the great Compost put together, they conducted between November 12th through the 15th, which is amazing because you don't do polls unless somebody asks you. So I'm quite certain that this poll was taken right after the Paris or right during that particular time period. But normally there's a reason why people sample, okay? So there's a certain je ne sais quoi to this. But the Washington Post poll was conducted November 12th to the 15th among a random sample of 1,000 of adult district residents. Notice the term district residents. It did not say district voters, and it did not say district citizens. Because I could have called 1,005 people from the homeless shelter, came up with this one. But they won't tell you this kind of... You all have to be very careful. I learned this in statistics. Be very careful when people start talking about they're putting polls and stuff together for you. Because they're really not. They're not putting a poll together for you. They're doing it for themselves. And so, according to this poll says that not only do the residents of the District of Columbia, not only does the Queen of the District of Columbia, Muriel Bowser, desire bans on gun ownership, but the residents, people that just happen to be here for 30 days, the residents, which could be a legal alien, who knows? The residents, 51% of the district residents say they would like a reinstatement of a ban on gun ownership in the city that was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 2008. Wow! The Supreme Court gets it right, and district residents want to change it. But they also concede 51% is opposed to having guns, but 47% want guns in the District of Columbia. So if we instead ask citizens or voters, you might come up with a different sampling. The finding comes as the district grapples with a 58% spike in homicides this year, almost all from gun violence, that has sent crime to the top of residents' concerns about the city. And that's the problem right there. When she was running for office, she wanted you to know that she cared about you. She loved you. She was going to hold you to her bosom so that you might suckle the Queen's bosom. She was going to put you in homes. She was going to give you jobs. She was going to make the impossible possible for you. And the truth of the matter is, $100 million later, homes are still more unaffordable in the district than they are affordable. $100 million later, there are still people who are unemployed, and a great number of them happen to be black and live in wards 5, 7, and 8. The inner city, you know what I'm saying? Those things did not change. Still, there are killings on the street. We went from 97 at the time that she gives this speech to the, I'm going to play it in just one moment. She gives this speech before Black Lives Matters in Washington, D.C. We went from 97 to 148 deaths. Just 3 months went past. 50 more deaths on the calendar. In addition to that, we spent another $23 million giving money away for jobs training programs. Look at that, air quote, jobs training programs. And in addition to that, giving money away to social workers who didn't even have a plan of how they want to stop homicides in the district. It's a long-term thing. We'll work it out. Of course you will. You give me $1 million, I'll work it out too. I ain't gotta have a plan. With a solid half in support of a total gun ban, the poll's findings will probably embolden D.C. politicians and gun control advocates who are fighting to keep intact lesser firearm restrictions that gun rights advocates are contesting in federal courts. Yeah, it's people like me who believe we need to have guns that they fear. And apparently, Democrats fear more Black Lives Matter, who says you shouldn't arrest people because they're black.
So you see my friends say 4 day matters. You think they gotta tell me that? You think they gotta tell me that? To hear about the law I'm proposing, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. There have been erroneous reports in the media that we want to give the police unfettered authority to basically search anyone, anytime, anywhere. That is blatantly false. First of all, this proposal is to search for illegal guns. It only relates to individuals who have been convicted of a violent crime like murder, armed robbery, or sexual assault. Let us be clear. This is not stop and frisk. My proposal restricts searches solely to the living quarters of individuals convicted of...
Did you hear her? This is a stop and frisk. Because I'm black like you. I'm against stop and frisk. But I'm not against giving my police officers cameras to go into your home to inspect your home if you happen to have been on parole from a crime that you committed. I thought, and I don't know about you, and listen, I am not I am very a stubborn, hard fellow when it comes to justice. You do the crime, you do the time. But once you have done the time, you are through with the crime. How is it that the police now have a camera, can go into your home and inspect it without warrant? Fourth Amendment, people, Fourth Amendment. That's why you need to, you see these? You see these right here? You need to have these with you. And you need to read them often. They're called the Constitution and the Declaration. The Fourth Amendment says that you don't have a right to come into my crib without a warrant. But what exactly are you looking for? Because a crime happened in the neighborhood, there were no witnesses, but you think that you can just walk up in my... Because I had a crime in my... That's not right. That's not just. That's not constitutional. Now, I'm not one who's siding with Black Lives Matter. I'm siding with the Constitution here. But even Black Lives Matter can be right twice a day like a broken DVR. You cannot give cameras to officers because it infringes on the rights of everyone. Period. You collect data on people. Where does that data go? Who keeps that data? Who keeps that film? How long do they keep that film? How is that film used? Does my attorney have the right to the access to that film? This is all unconstitutional because you did not have a right to film me. Ladies and gentlemen, I live in a Politburo city where a council member believes that you can fight ISIS with baseball bats. I believe I live in a Politburo city where, quite frankly, if the queen of the city chooses to like or dislike something, it becomes law which is enforced by a police officer who has common sense and understands that no way will Americans actually survive up against ISIS if the only thing they get to carry is a baseball bat and maybe some lighter fluid for their lighter. When you have straw mainstream media that believe in creating false polls to scare people into a consummate belief that government will provide for their every need and take care of them. It is good that God allows someone to misspeak on 60 Minutes to make us all abundantly aware of the fact that gun control has cost more lives than it has saved. Gun control is a very sexist mechanic in order to keep women oppressed. Gun control is one of the most racist mechanisms of governance in the world. Now, who believes in a total gun ban? 62% of white residents polled believe in a total gun ban. 65% of white women believe in a total gun ban. 67% of whites with a college degree believe in a gun ban. It is also popular with all residents with incomes of at least $100,000, 61%. Residents younger than 30, and people who have lived in the city less than 10 years, all 60%. Ladies and gentlemen, what is not saying is this. If you are black, if you're Hispanic, if you're Asian, and if you got good sense and been in the city a while, you understand that it is an infringement on your constitutional rights for the Queen of Washington, D.C. to tell you that she doesn't like guns and she doesn't want you to have one. So there. And the falseness of this particular argument I want to deal with real quick before we go to the break. They have this idea that the more guns you have, the more violence you have. What they don't explain to you is, in Baltimore, where there is a gun ban, there are over 300 murders, homicides. Majority have been gun-related. What they don't tell you is that there have almost been 150 murders in the District of Columbia, gun-related, majority of them. What they don't tell you is in Alexandria, Virginia, which is right across the bridge from where I live. Just right across the bridge. 5-minute drive from here, 5 to 8 minute drive. 24 murders in the course of the whole year. Why do people murder less in Arlington, in Alexandria, Virginia, in Fairfax, Virginia, than they do in, say, PG County or Washington, D.C., or Montgomery County or Baltimore County? Why? Because they don't have queens sitting on the throne telling you that you can't protect yourself. The Constitution speaks for them, and they yield to the Constitution. 88-year-old Idris Bilal says, isn't that in the Second Amendment? No, they shouldn't ban guns, said Idris Bilal, 88, who spent 2 decades in the Army and lives in an area of D.C. north of Capitol Hill where robberies have been on the rise. Guns don't kill nobody. They just lay there. A man should be able to own a gun if he wants to. It doesn't mean he has to use it wrongly. You see, maybe we should listen to Idris Bilal, because she's got good sense. We'll be back with more of the best in the next half here of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Don't forget, Janice Hall, J Hall World Report is coming up. Infused, baby. Get the food. Get the food. You know what time it is.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant. And today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. Where we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat mix a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how much I love this food. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. 301-449-9000, 449-9000, infuseandfuse.com. It is such good food. Say it with me, people. Food. It's such great food. You need to have it. You really do. So please make yourself available. It's also known as Camp Springs, Temple Hills, Maryland. You know, it's that kind of unincorporated kind of thing. But nevertheless, 6339 Allentown Road. Make your way out there. Listen, Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated was founded to help improve the morale and welfare of members of the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. We accomplish our mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings that we send are for a specific purpose or for a specific person with their name on the stocking. For many types, troops... wet that whistle, I tell you. For many troops, our gift is all they receive for the holidays. We're trying to send a touch of home as well as personal messages of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and let them know that they have not been forgotten over the holidays. We depend on the generosity of others to help us to accomplish our vital mission. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so please check to see if your donation will be tax deductible. And even if it isn't tax deductible, make certain that you make that deduction, or at least that donation, to Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated, 1911 Folk Road, that's F-O-U-L-K Road, Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. 19810. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many of us who have been told that if we take guns out of the hands of good people, bad people won't use them. Now, in the same story of the Washington Post, Shinquan Michael Dan, a recent American University graduate who grew up in China, said he likes the idea of gun control, but doesn't believe a ban would curb gun violence because criminals and even terrorists would still seek to get them. How do you set the standards? He asked. Look at Paris. Well, look at Paris, everyone. How's Paris doing? If you have not learned from Charlie Hebdo that maybe the first persons or the first responders are not the police, but the first responders happen to be your citizenry, that they can provide protection for themselves more easily, more abundantly, more successfully than the police ever could. If you don't have that type of thinking, then by golly, you're going to always have the threat of terrorism. We have terrorism, but it's in our most impoverished neighborhoods where gangs have taken control and actually are acting as a prototype of ISIS, where they control and negotiate with government on who gets arrested, the type of narcos and drugs and human trafficking they can participate in. So don't we want this corruption to stop? Don't we want this type of oppression and tyranny to stop? I most certainly think we do. I most certainly think we do. But what justification do I have? Ken, you think you know everything, and I don't. But you think you know everything, Ken. I mean, even with the Supreme Court striking down, and the U.S. Appeals Court striking down unconstitutional legislation in District of Columbia, still, you're unable to carry a gun. But is there something to the fact that the majority of the people that don't want you to carry a gun in Washington, D.C. happen to be white and happen to be wealthy? Now, you know I'm not a racist, nor do I pretend or lay on the victim mantle. But there's something wrong when a group of white liberals do not want you to protect yourself. Well, if I'm wrong in this particular scenario, I share good company for all you down low listeners, because Marion Barry said the same thing. He said the ruin of D.C. happened to be by white liberals. Notice he did not say black conservatives, and notice he did not say white conservatives. He said the ruin of the District of Columbia was by white liberals. And why is it a ruining? Because you can't protect your baby and you can't protect yourself. You have to be dependent on a police force that only has a responsibility of protecting the wealthy and the empowered. So, the great equalizer when there is concern of governmental imbalance or infringement has been the individual's responsibility of protecting himself. Here's the historical record as compiled by Clayton E. Kramer, and I'm going to encourage you all to make certain that you take some time out over the holidays and you read this. I love that, Mary. Climate control would decimate ISIS. I love it. There are those who believe that there is no racism in background regarding gun control. Clayton Kramer laid out as eloquently and succinctly as any man ever has the racist roots of gun control. I just want to read some of that to you. And we'll pick up on the latter half of the show, and we'll also talk about the social compact, what Black Lives Matter is trying to do. The Mayflower Compact already did. But racist arms laws predate the establishment of the United States. Starting in 1751, the French Black Code required Louisiana colonists to stop any blacks, and if necessary, beat any black carrying any potential weapon, such as a cane. If a black refused to stop on demand and was on horseback, the colonist was authorized to shoot and kill. Slave possession of firearms was a necessity at times in a frontier society, yet laws continued to be passed in an attempt to prohibit slaves or free blacks from possessing firearms, except under very restrictively controlled conditions. I want you to understand that phrase. Very restrictively controlled conditions. Why are you no different than the slave of yesteryear? I digress back to the writings. He says, one example of the increasing fear of armed blacks is the 1834 change to the Tennessee Constitution, where Article 1126 of the 1796 Tennessee Constitution was revised from that the freemen of the state have a right to keep and to bear arms for their common defense to that the free white men of the state have a right to keep and to bear arms for their common defense. It is not clear what motivated this change other than Turner's bloody insurrection. The year before, the Tennessee Supreme Court had recognized the right to bear arms as an individual guarantee, but there is nothing in that decision that touches on the subject of race. The 17th article of the 1776 North Carolina Constitution declared that the people have a right to bear arms for the defense of the state, and as standing armies in time of peace are dangerous to liberty, they ought not to be kept up, and that the military should be kept under strict subordination to and governed by the civil power. The court asserted that we cannot see that the Act of 1840 is in conflict with it. You see, the Act of 1840 prohibited blacks from keeping and bearing arms. Ladies and gentlemen, I can go through this, and there's a great deal of it, and too much before I have to go to a break, as I already am late for one. But you will see as we go through this that the foundations of racism are established in keeping people away from their constitutional rights. Those in Washington, D.C. divert you from the constitutional truth that Washington, D.C. will forever be a District of the Columbia, a District of Congress. Never intended to be a state, and it never will be. But we spend umpteens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight against that. Yet, the one amendment that guarantees our life, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness, the Second Amendment, you don't find a problem with banning it. Maybe if you understood the racial proclivity of gun ownership, then you would understand why Frederick Douglass encouraged men to fight not only with the ballot, but also the bullet. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in the second half with JANIS, and we'll be talking about the onset of World War III.
Ready, begin.
All right. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the second half of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Socialists. Ladies and gentlemen, this is quite a big night, and it is always great on a night like this. We have so many great people in our chat roll. Love you dearly. Hold Your Awakens, great author, as well as broadcaster. Dave Milner, the Milner. Dave, my friend, is the unpleasant blind guy. Mary is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. And ladies and gentlemen, my beloved wife, my betrothed, Mrs. Biggs, who's watching me via live stream or Ustream, whichever one comes first. Ladies and gentlemen, we are darn near World War III. And tonight, we will be talking with none other than Janice Hall, the J. Hall World Report. There's a lot of good stuff we're going to be talking about tonight, I assure you. And a lot of it, this administration certainly doesn't want us talking about. Without further ado, the beautiful, the brilliant, and just wonderful guru regarding foreign policy, of course, Janice Hall, the J. Hall World Report. Good evening, young lady.
Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Happy Thanksgiving to you and to yours. Hope that you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful one. I asked you earlier, and just want to recap what we were talking about earlier today. Are you ready for World War III? Did you get a T-shirt or something?
Yes, I'm ready for that and Thanksgiving. They seem to be coming together.
Now, and we probably will start selling T-shirts and cups for World War III. But for those of us who are following along home, haven't been following the news, especially my down low listeners out of the nation's capital, why are we concerned that we are headed towards World War III? Is it because President Hollande is the leader of the coalition, or is there another? Is there another issue?
There's another issue. Actually, well, we'll get to Hollande here in a minute. We have a lot of news to go over.
Yeah.
This evening. So, okay. So, the big news for today was that Turkey shot down a Russian, military plane. Turkey says that it was in their airspace. The Russians insist it was not. Regardless, plane is down, and it looks like, I believe, I don't think they've had contact with their, the Russians have not had contact with the two crew members who were aboard, and so that's looking like a mess, and Putin was very displeased, and he had some very tough words for Turkey today over the situation. So yeah, and I mean, we talked about this earlier. You'd said, what happens when the Turks shoot down a Russian plane, and while I still think that it's probably not going to escalate into World War III, it's certainly not a good situation, and as far as I'm concerned, it's something that could have potentially been avoided. And now,
exactly.
Speaking about Hollande, he is trying to broker kind of a get-together, a deal that would have Russia, France, and the U.S. all working together Islamic militants in that region. And
Now,
I guess Russians involved anybody who's against Assad as well. All right, but the U.S. is, not big into that deal. Not likely to go anywhere.
Exactly.
And
But before we go on, because I this is really hilarious, because Halan and the President of the United States held a press conference today. And during the press conference, the great coalition leader, President Halan, who seems to have been inspired since the death of so many in Paris, actually went to the microphone and encouraged the president to join the coalition, an international coalition, in the fight against ISIS. The president looked so offended and so angry and so bitter. He said, as he got the opportunity to respond, President Halan, we do have an international coalition. And if you don't see it, go back, find CNN or YouTube or whatever. The expression on President Halan's face was, "Really? When did that happen?"
Okay, it is technically true, okay, that the U.S. is bombing ISIS, okay? We were the first ones, we are the ones that have been doing the most, alright? So, yes, that is technically happening.
Technically.
Right? Technically happening. It hasn't been effective. I think the answer to that question is a resounding no. Now, is France and Russia actually currently proposing to do anything more than what the U.S. is doing? Not really. But I would, to some degree, hope that eventually, realizing that just bombing isn't going to work, that they would entertain the idea that more force would be necessary. Which, clearly the U.S. is not interested in. I mean, I'm kind of surprised we're bombing at all, considering how much effort we want to, put into this sort of thing.
Exactly. We're tonight talking with Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report, and you're a lot of the stuff you're just going to have to laugh at. You really are, because it is impossible, simply impossible, to believe that the president of the free world has allowed the world to get into such a situation where literally, and NATO met this morning on an emergency basis, so that's amazing that they got a chance to get together that quickly on an emergency basis. That literally we were hours away from Russia responding with an assault on Turkey. So
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but here's an interesting fact. That both France, okay, so this is the state of the world right now. So both the U.S. and France and Turkey are all in NATO, right?
Yeah.
So on one hand, we have the Russians and the Turks practically coming to blows. And they're hating on each other. And meanwhile, we have France, another member of NATO, who's trying to forge a relationship with Russia to do some military work in Syria together. And I look at what's happening, and the reason we're in such a mess is mostly because the U.S. has not done any type of leadership with this. Hasn't looked to get things, to get people to work together. Obama hasn't taken the lead on anything. He's just sort of let everybody do kind of whatever they want. And so now we have this kind of ridiculous mess where two members of NATO, and NATO is supposed to be, a tight-knit group. This isn't the UN. NATO is supposed to actually be effective. And they're basically at complete opposite ends of what they're trying to do on military and
Mm-hmm.
And so, that kind of goes back to what I said right off the bat with this situation with the downplaying, is that while I don't think it's going to necessarily lead to Russia and Turkey going to war, the situation could have been avoided if someone like the U.S. had been much more proactive in getting a better response to deal with the rebels and the Islamic State in Syria.
Exactly. Now, I want to...
Just that whole situation.
Exactly. This is all because of what happened at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and he preferred to go golfing on weekends rather than to deal with foreign policy issues. But the first thing that Putin raised this morning were Articles 5 and 6 of the Geneva Convention. And I laugh, but it's a very serious thing. Turkey is a part of the Geneva Convention. And that's why I don't believe that their soldiers did it. I believe that a part of the rebel groups that we've been talking about, civil unrest in Turkey, has been enjoined by those from Syria and causing unsteadiness in the Turkish government with Erdogan. But he immediately went to 5 and 6, and he said there was no doggone way that your guys did not know that when they bailed out of their plane, that they were defenseless, and you killed them. And then on top of that, we sent rescuers to go get them, and you shot down our helicopter. We have every right, according to the Geneva Conventions, to fight and kill you, Turkey. And
Russia's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. And we're in this mess because of lack of leadership.
Exactly. And like we were talking about last week, according to France, with those same articles, there is a right that NATO is called into the fight against ISIS, and that the U.S. is forced by the articles of the NATO convention, the NATO alliance, to fight against ISIS. And if they're not going to take the lead, then they need to get out of the way. So literally, Halan and Putin on the same day, using two different things, one NATO conventions for Halan, and for Putin, the Geneva Conventions, both of them held Obama accountable, and if judged fairly, he failed as a leader in both capacities.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, as we've discussed on this show, he's failed in many other capacities. But, yes.
Now,
yeah.
Now, Holland's supposed to meet with Putin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is all this going to be smoothed out by the time Putin and Holland meet?
Oh, I'm sure not. And, I mean, really, while we, the Western world may disagree with how exactly Russia's going about, bombing Syria, and we would prefer that they go more after the Islamic extremists rather than Assad's enemies. The general premise is at least they're doing something, and I definitely don't think that the U.S. after several years of doing whatever it is that we've been doing with no real significant progress has any right to say that what Russia's doing is wrong, because clearly whatever we're doing isn't working either.
Exactly. Well, we're only doing pinpricks, and we're giving people 45-minute warnings before we bomb them. So it's not much of a commander-in-chief is President Obama. We're talking with Janice Hall, the J. Hall World Report, the best half hour of our hour-long shows on Tuesday nights and throughout the course of the week. But you were getting ready to say, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, but not to mention, we're actually sending weapons into the area. While the purpose is to send them to democracy-loving Syrians who are fighting Assad and ISIS. Lord knows what's actually happening.
You know, when you look back at this, you wouldn't think that Dwight D. Eisenhower or George Patton or any of the great military leaders of their particular time, you wouldn't think these guys would actually perform in this particular capacity as commanders of armies. And yet the commander-in-chief's greatest concern is that his military not say Merry Christmas while they're over in Syria fighting. Are we... I can't get it. Isn't this how World War I started? When everyone in Europe decided to do their own thing, and the next thing we know, we're all fighting.
Right. And we're not even entirely sure how we got here.
What? You shot the king in a car, and now we're all fighting a war? What's all this about?
You know, a prince got shot in a car in a country we don't even know about. Now we're fighting a war for several years. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely ridiculous. Syrian refugees, big issue here at home.
Oh yeah, big issue.
How is it that some Syrian refugees get into our country faster than others?
Well, you get fake Greek passports. That's how. You also travel without luggage. That's important too. And you go by way of South America.
Wow. Is this the same South America that the president worked so hard on in Central America to let everyone know via Univision that they can come to America and just say dream? This is the same one, isn't it?
So reports out today that I think it was four, but I might have that wrong, men were arrested in Honduras for traveling with fake Greek passports. They were actually from Syria, claiming to be refugees, and they were trying to get to the U.S.
Wow.
And they were traveling without luggage so that they could get through security faster.
Now, let me get this straight. There's no Southwest Air between Syria and, say, Honduras, right? I mean, these are not the cheap... No. So these flights are costing a pretty penny. Where do you think they're getting this money from?
Yeah. There's people in Syria who would definitely put up the money for them to go here. And they're not people we like.
Exactly. A little ISIS change for us. A little money there goes a long way. All that oil money seems to go a long way. All right.
I mean, yeah, I know. I was looking at the story. It's like every part of it is concerning. So not only do we have, essentially just men traveling, not even they're traveling with fake documents through South America. Not only are they just trying to leave essentially a war-torn area, they're trying to get to the U.S. And they're traveling without any luggage because they actually, they're trying to not get stuck. I mean, none of this sounds good.
Exactly. And I want to thank the good people of Honduras for doing their job. They're better than TSA. So
probably. I mean, apparently, actually, they were only caught because they missed a flight.
See, that's what happens when you go over to the varsity counter and you're trying to get a hot dog and they don't serve it fast enough for you. See, and then you miss your plane. So please, terrorists, next time, don't stop. Just go right through. Don't worry about it. The refugees, however, are a crisis for Europe, have been for a while. Apparently, the Coast Guard, the Grecian Coast Guard, is in a lot of trouble. Why are they in trouble?
All right. So, recently, a video has surfaced that basically shows the Greek Coast Guard what looks like trying to sink a refugee ship.
Wow.
So now everybody wants an investigation to go into this to find out what actually really happened. Yes, technically, Greece should not be doing that. Though I do realize they're in a very difficult position. Because along with that article, that bit of news that came out in the last couple days, we also have, countries, bordering Greece, mostly Macedonia, closing their borders, which is basically forcing all of the refugees that went to Greece to be stuck there. And as we have spoken so much about Greece and its own financial issues, Greece in no way has the ability to take care of these people.
I'm surprised they got enough money to pay for the oil that has to be used to propel the sinkable Coast Guard ships. It's just simply amazing. Will this stop the Syrians from coming into Greece at all? Will they avoid Greece now?
I mean, they might try and avoid Greece. I don't think so. I mean, I think they're still going to continue to come. I think the situation's just going to continue to get worse. I think as we see more countries close borders, I think the routes may change. That's entirely possible. They might start hitting up Italy or, some other country like that. But, I mean, I think there's still going to be a lot of people trying. And I think, I think the situation is going to deteriorate. I think it's going to get worse. We've already seen a lot of unrest related to the refugees. There's been, some rioting and,
Oh, and recently, the hunger strike. They're sewing their mouths shut until they get what they believe are their rights in these countries. They're gonna, and it's horrible to see them doing it, but they are committed to getting their demands met. Sewing their mouths shut. These people are wacko. I don't.
Well, here's my biggest thing, okay, that okay, so these people obviously Syria is in a bad situation, right? It's not good, it's a terrible place to be, and they don't want to be there, okay?
Yeah.
I understand that, and they're trying to get out, okay. What I don't understand is then how that translates to, I must now immigrate to one of the richest and most prosperous countries in Europe and demand rights. That if your primary concern is simply to get out of harm's way, that you would be happy going anywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever, benefits or lack of benefits there is. Just so long as you're not in Syria.
Awesome. Janice, we also got to speak about Mali. Because Mali was in the news. It was in the news not because it is a great destination place. However, it was in the news because of a terrorist attack. Can you give us details regarding that?
All right. So, there's lots of news this week. So, in Mali, Islamic extremists who are tied to ISIS attacked a hotel and killed several people, and I would also add that there was also an attack on the Sinai Peninsula, also. when we have seen a terrorist organization have this many attacks in such a short period of time. And that should be super concerning for national security people.
Yeah.
We've seen these attacks all over. We've seen them in Europe. We've seen them in Africa, Egypt, and they have been very, they've all been within the last couple weeks, and that should be a huge concern. Usually when we've seen these things before, it's been one here, one there, and but the fact that there's been so many so recently really highlights the point that ISIS has they've made it.
Yes.
They're there. They obviously have the power and the commitment to do these attacks frequently, and that should be a big deal.
Yeah, and it helps when you have a dithering idiot at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It really does.
That helps too.
Quickly, because we're not going to have enough time to get into Argentina, and I want to talk about that next week if we get a chance to. But Halan made it very prescient, made it very succinct, very clarion. The object of his firepower is not only to eradicate ISIS, it is also to eradicate Assad in Syria. He met today with the president, who wasn't happy that he's starting his own coalition. You know how people leave the rock group and they want to start their own? And certainly Putin is not going to be happy with him talking about getting rid of Assad. Is there any hope that all of those fractures will be taken care of in the next 72 hours so that everyone will face down the real enemy, which is ISIS?
No.
JANIS Hall! The J-Hall! We pay her by the word. There you go. JANIS Hall, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I love Tuesday nights with you. J Hall will report as we bring the world to the kitchen table so that you may better understand it. Happy Thanksgiving, young lady.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make certain that you all do me a great favor before we go to the break. And I love talking with Janet. She's just wonderful. But I want to give you all a homework assignment before I come back from the break. And I want everyone to go to the Facebook.com or the Exceptional Conservative Show page. There is a homework question that I gave there. And the homework question is based on the picture. The picture is of President Halan, Harold. President Halan shaking the hand of a very angst and angry President Barack Hussein Obama. And I want you to answer those two questions for me. Who is the dominant one, based on the picture, and who is demanding allegiance to their coalition and leadership based on that picture? You'll be able to see the picture. You can make your determination. Come back and let me know. You're listening to the best in urban conservative talk, the most influential urban conservative talk show in America, the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I'm yours truly, the Exceptional One.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is an in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredient. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. We kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80/20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
That's my burger, baby. Infused.com, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748-301-449-9000. Infused.com. Go past and say hello to Derek and Christine Williams. They are great owners, wonderful people, the salt of the earth, and their food is muy bueno. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to know that Stockings for Soldiers, Delaware Incorporated, was founded to improve the morale and welfare of members of the armed forces of the United States of America deployed in harm's way. They accomplished their mission by sewing holiday stockings and filling them with special items for the troops. Many of the stockings are sent for a specific person, in fact, with their name on the stocking itself. For many troops, their gift is all they receive for the holidays. Listen, they're trying to send a touch of home as well as personal messages of support to remind our troops that we appreciate all they do for us and to let them know that they have not been forgotten over the holidays. They depend on the generosity of others to help us, or help them, and help our great men and women overseas to accomplish the vital mission. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. As such, donations may be tax deductible. Check with your tax professional. But if you would like to make a donation to the project, please send your check to Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated. Stockings for Soldiers Delaware Incorporated, 1911 Folk Road, F-O-U-L-K Road. Thank you, dear. Wilmington, Delaware, 19810. That's 19810. And please don't send any bounceable rubber checks. We are trying to take care of our soldiers overseas. We love them, and we want to make certain that they get exactly what they deserve. We'll be right back with more of the best at Urban Conservative Talk right after this.
Every 53 minutes, someone dies in a drunk driving incident. The risk of a drunk driver being killed in a car crash is at least 11 times that of a sober driver.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't drink, don't drive.
Swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh. You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe.
That kind of looks like my sister.
It does.
But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh!
She's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop.
Oh, that is not a lollipop.
Left swipe.
Left swipe.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. Hope you're gone in a cloud of smoke. I just left swipe. Bye bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie! I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm my type. Hope you're gone in a cloud of smoke. I just left swipe, bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking offensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew. None of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll
Never remember you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the second half, fourth quarter of the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I'm yours truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. I want to thank everybody who went to the Exceptional Conservative Show Facebook page to do the examination. And there are some great number of A's. I do mean we got some A's in our chat roll tonight at SHR Media. I want to thank Hold Your Awakens for taking the examination. Great job, sir. You got an A+. 100%. Yes. Halan looks domineering. He looks like the dominant one based on his handshake. And also based on his handshake with President Barack Hussein Obama. He is demanding allegiance to their coalition and leadership. To his coalition and leadership, indeed. President Halan has done a wonderful job with his body language. And I just want to go over two quick things. Just for, you may be listening and you are in your career. And that handshake sometimes speaks greater volumes. If you've ever shook the hand of somebody who had a wet, limpy kind of handshake, it kind of, I don't know if I really want to do business with this guy. And people think this way. You can't control the way people think, but it's what people think. But based on the handshake after the press conference today, where President Halan was completely shocked by the fact that President Obama said he has an international coalition. And I don't think President Halan includes Antigua, Jamaica, whom we going to make you. I don't think he considers those a coalition. I don't think the last time Jamaica went to war with anyone, it really impressed anybody. And forgive me, Jamaica, but the truth of the matter is, it's the truth. The dominant handshake, the dominator shake, there's a handshake can be used to establish dominance, mark territory, and demonstrate authority. And I think at today's press conference, President Halan was trying to demonstrate his authority in comparison to the lack of authority and lack of leadership of President Barack Obama, who sends a wake-up call to ISIS before he actually comes into the area of the bomb. So in that wake-up call, normally 6 in the morning, and that way you get your breakfast and get your halal in. You have a great time. But People with a dominant personality or who want to show their dominance will shake someone's hand while keeping their own palm facing down. Okay, facing down. So when you're handshaking, for those who are watching via Ustream, you're going like this downward to shake that person's hand and to put them in such a situation where they are being moved by you. Okay, so that's happening in that handshake today after the press conference. Hollande is doing that to the President of the United States, showing his authority over him. And then there's the two-hander handshake. So he's doing a double whammy here for dominance. Not only is he putting his palm down on the president's palm and putting it in a downward position where the president looks like he's looking up, despite how tall he is to Hollande. He's also getting his back rubbed by President Hollande. Now, that's a two-hander shake for those who want to follow along at home. And that involves shaking with the right hand and placing the left hand on someone's arm or shoulder, or cupping their hand between both of yours. Adding the left hand demonstrates a desire to show honesty and sincerity, and the higher up the hand is placed, the greater the level of intimacy between the two people, or at least it should be, a close relationship. So what he's trying to say is, I am better at this than you. Allow me, I'm a communist, and you're just a socialist or Marxist. Let me do this. Let me show you how we can do this by force, and I am a greater. But by politician standards, when someone does that, political leaders are not trying to show closeness or sincerity or honesty. What they're trying to show is exact power over this particular person and pity for this particular person. So you'll learn all of that in terms of the body language and the handshake, which is why you have to be very careful when you're shaking hands and somebody actually understands exactly what body language is all about. Remember now, placing your palm upwards tells the person that you're weak and submissive. Putting your palm downward tells them that you're the dominant one. All right, so there's your homework assignment. If you didn't learn anything today, you learned something. Every night, last time Obama formed a coalition was a clerk circle jerk at a Chicago bath. Love it. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, there is such great affinity amongst those people in the SHR Media Live. We're looking forward to Sackheads Radio coming back to Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And I think that's 8 o'clock on the coast or something like that. But Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint. Rolling Thunder is what they are. I want to also make a footnote here to our conversation regarding the Queen of District of Columbia, Ms. Muriel Bowser, telling people that she doesn't like guns, so you can't have one. That literally in the district, in the school districts of Ohio, 40 of them allow teachers to carry permitted concealed handguns. What? You're saying I'm lying? Well, that's why you should go to the SHR Media Live. That's where I put the actual research right in there. This is from Crime Prevention Research Center. This is from a story from November 23rd, 2015, as reported by WKRC-TV, Channel 12 in Cincinnati. WKRX in Cincinnati. In Ohio, around 40 school districts now allow teachers with concealed carry licenses to carry their weapons in class. In upstate Ohio, there is top-level extraordinary teacher training. The teachers and administrators train side-by-side with law enforcement and paramedics at the John Benner's Tactical Defense Institute. They're training for a nightmare when classrooms and hallways become killing fields. Now, and this is happening around the country. Not because the Queen of the District of Columbia, Muriel Bowser, doesn't believe it's happening or that there are separate types of terrorist activities. And quite frankly, the President of the United States has control over the Navy Yard, Queen, not you. He could actually do an executive order that would allow the carrying of weapons of mass destruction, as you like to call them or refer to them. But I like to refer to them as protector pieces. Just saying. Another man's garbage is another man's treasure. He said, we believed in this for a long time, but never thought we'd be able to pull it off until Sandy Hook. And then everything changed. Now people realize if you don't have somebody in the school that's armed, willing, and capable, you're going to lose a lot of people. The cost of training is entirely covered by the Buckeye Firearms Foundation, a pro-gun organization. I love it. I love it. So if a pro-gun organization wants to get with the exceptional one and try to move on the District of Columbia to do the very same thing, just give me a phone call. Really. And I'm serious about that. You call me 202-550-3174. I'll talk with you about it. Or you can send your email to ken@theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. I think it's really time for us, if you can have police in the schools, and you see how that worked in Charleston, South Carolina. If you can have police in your schools, why not have the teachers armed? There are more teachers per capita in the school than police officers, unless you're in an urban center, and that might be different. And they're having great discussions about what they're going to name their bite in the chat roll. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the point of the show where there will be no more commercials. We're going strictly long into this, and I want to read to you what Black Lives Matters has in common with the Pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower. Okay? According to Black Lives Matter, they have guiding principles, and every institution, no matter how nefarious, will put together founding principles. It's important. You have to know what you believe in and have to be able to tell people about it, because you're not going to remember it all. Most of it's lies anyway, and so it flies in the face of what you believe, and you don't want to be caught in a lie, so here we go. They believe in being unapologetically black. That's the first thing they believe. Unapologetically black. We are unapologetically black in our positioning. In affirming that Black Lives Matter, we need not qualify our position. See, you need a position. If you're going to run an organization, a dictatorial one, in fact, one that has propagandized the great love for the color of one's melanin, you must make certain, abundantly clear, that nothing you say has to be qualified by any reasoning whatsoever. It's the way you feel, and gosh darn it, that's just the way it is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to look outside my window, and there will be 2 feet of snow, even if it's 82 degrees. Just letting you know that, right off the back, don't have to qualify my position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves. See, in order to be a part of Black Lives Matter, you got to think selfishly. Within the group collective. Groupthink. Wait a minute. That's communism. Ourselves is a necessary prerequisite for wanting the same for others. Transgender affirming. Now, there are some lesbians that have started up Black Lives. So they definitely cannot be against you because you happen to get Woman of the Year and you're still packing a penis. We are committed to embracing and making space for trans. What is this like a transportation system or something? What is this? The Metro Trans or something? Space for trans. Brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are committed to being self-reflexive. And it's very important to be self-reflexive when you haven't eaten a great deal, but you continue to drink. Self-reflexive will happen. And doing the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege. What the heck is cisgender? That's why you cannot, my brother who's probably listening on the down low in Washington, D.C., who comes to the faith meetings for the Anacostia Coordinating Council. That's why you sitting there reading to me and reciting the 10 points that Dr. Malcolm, actually you only did 9 out of the 10 because the 10th one says that you have to follow the movement and the movement's leader in whatever they tell you to do. Okay, that's the 10th one, but you refuse to tell people that one because it doesn't sound too good. Communism never sounds good when you actually talk about it. But I don't know how you can stand there and tell a brother who believes in Christ Jesus, who wrote the Bible through the Holy Spirit, that you want to lead them in this cisgender privilege dismantling. I don't understand it. You got a lot to work on, sir. And uplift black trans folk. Black trans. Oh, look at that. Black trans. Buy a Mustang. No. Black trans. Especially black trans women. Notice how they're going to dismantle it, but they're going to keep the division between black trans men and black trans women. And certainly not the black trans am. I'm just saying, and women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. And who the heck wrote this? All right, but it's yours. You go with it. Black families. Although our population only has about 20% of a traditional black family, Black Lives Matter says we are committed to making our spaces family friendly. Yeah, because when you pop a cap in one of us, you're going to pop a cap in our kids, too. Parents, and enable parents to fully participate in our racist strategies. And participate with their children. We are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts that require them to mother in private even as they participate in justice work. So you don't want women working. Is that it? Is it you don't want them working double shifts? What is it? Are they black trans or black trans women? I don't understand. Intergenerational. Black Lives Matter is intergenerational. We are committed to fostering an intergenerational and communal network free from ageism. Looking over the glasses. You all are watching me look over my glasses. Because I don't know if ageism is discriminatory or not. But apparently they're going to fight against ageism. Da 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 da! It's ageism, man. And he's here to fight against age. We believe that all people, regardless of age, shows up with capacity to lead and learn. Really? Is that what you believe? They're also queer affirming. Queer affirming. These could all be X-Men, you know? It could all be X-Men. We are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip. Whoa. Oh, this is definitely Sackhead's radio material right here, man. For freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking. Heteronormative man. Radioactively became heterosexual against his will. Oh, Harold. Heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless he, she, or it, or they disclose otherwise. Okay, alright. Empathy. We are committed to practicing empathy. We engage comrades. Comrades! Can I get this for you? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program tonight. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they said comrades. So for those of you following along at home, Black Lives Matter refers to their family, their friends, their peeps as comrades. What political, ideological, and economic ideological pursuit have you heard the term comrade in? Communism. So they're about spreading communism. Notice that they ain't said God one part in here. So that's why I don't know why, brother, you keep coming up at me. But, you know, I'm ready to take y'all all on. I'll defeat you intellectually. We are guided by the fact, and this is part of their collective value. Collective value goes with communism. Here we go. I'm running out of time. Oh my God. We are guided by the fact all black lives, regardless of actual perceived sexual identity, gender identity, or ability, or religious beliefs, or whatever, just beliefs. Immigration status, look, it doesn't matter. We're all one black people, collective. Black villages. Oh God, I gotta read black. We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages. There you go. They're telling you right off the bat. We are anti-God. They're telling you that. Because who created the family? God! Right. They tell you they're anti-God. And yet, there are black Christians who are willing to follow Black Lives Matter. I don't affirm anything about Black Lives Matter besides the fact that it is a communistic construct, likened unto the social contract created by the Mayflower. Now, the compact is an agreement or contract that people agree to. The Mayflower Compact was an agreement between 41 men aboard the Mayflower to live by a social contract. A social contract meaning that people are willing to give up some of their individual rights to have other rights and protections as a group. Well, that didn't work out. And in fact, William Bradford would later go on to write in his journal that they made a decision in 1686 that this ain't working. And we're going to go back to something called capitalism, in which every person has a personal responsibility, and you get to keep your wealth if you create it. And according to that Mayflower Compact, it was disavowed shortly after that because they realized that capitalism works. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get into the really fanciful part of that tomorrow. Talking about William Bradford and why his crew realized that communism, likened unto what Black Lives Matters wants to install in the U.S. by destroying the black family from the inside out, from the God part out, is so very vital. Okay? Communism didn't work in 1620, and communism doesn't work today, even if the leader of it is Vladimir Putin. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your communism to yourself in Black Lives Matter. Let me work with the people of God to restore them to the power and glory that He has for them and them alone. Ladies and gentlemen, a man once told me not to live cowardly so that you would die bravely. I promise you I will always live bravely so that I will not die a coward. Remember always that God blessed America. Now it is important, vital, necessary for you to bless God. Happy Thanksgiving to those who tuned in for the last of this week. We'll be on for the rest of this week. There's a schedule at Ustream, and God bless you. And we look forward to a wonderful, wonderful conversation with you tomorrow night.